small portion of our orchestra and our band, directed by Mr. Kendall Bridges and Mr. Spencer Hawley.
I would like to call this board meeting to order at 6:55 p.m. on January 22nd, 2019. And we'd like to have the Pledge of Allegiance first, so everybody stand, please. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. And may we have a moment of silence, please. Thank you. Monica, may I have a roll call, please? It's on.
Dr. Hyde,
Here.
Mr. Moreno, Mrs. Quintana,
Hold it right like that.
Here.
Mr. Rolla, Mr. Thomas.
Here.
I'd like to have the approval of the minutes for January 8th, 2019. May I have a motion?
Madam Chair, I move for the approval of the meeting minutes on January 8th, 2019.
May I have a second, please? Discussion? If none, Monica, roll call.
Dr. Hyde,
Aye.
Mr. Moreno, Mrs. Quintana,
Aye.
Mr. Rolla, Mr. Thomas.
Aye.
Can you all please use the microphone on that end?
I'd like to have the approval of the agenda. May I have a motion?
Madam Chair, I move for the approval of the agenda.
May I have a second?
Madam Chair, I move that we second the agenda.
Discussion? Seeing none, Monica, roll call.
Dr. Hyde,
Aye.
Mr. Moreno,
Aye.
Mrs. Quintana,
Aye.
Mr. Rolla,
Aye.
Mr. Thomas.
Aye.
Next, we have Adams City High School highlights.
Good evening, President Quintana, members of the board, Dr. Abrego. First, I want to say welcome. My name is Martin Pearson. I am the proud principal of Adams City Middle School. And what I wanted to do tonight is just try to keep in the theme of showing off our kids and some of the things that we do here at Adams City Middle School that makes, I think, us unique. And I want to review a few things with you just in terms of work that we've been doing within our community and also with our students. So, try to do this. One of the things that we're really proud of is annually we take students up, about 25 students, up into the mountains. They do a ski trip. That's sponsored by our PE teacher, Ms. Gutierrez. We also just recently hosted a We to Access night where the goal was really to help our parents understand how our students qualify for ELD classes and how the ELD class supports students with all of their other classes, but also how they exit it. We found that many of our families just simply don't understand why it is that their students are in ELD classes. So we've been working really hard to try to help them understand that and also get the kids to do the best they possibly can on the access test, which we're currently administering here at Adams City Middle School. Originally, we asked for RSVPs and we got 3, but we actually ended up that night having 20 families come in. So we had about 55 or 60 different people here at that event. So it was very successful for us, and it was the first time we'd ever done it. And of course, we love our Skate City nights. They're a great opportunity for us to fundraise. Typically, we take about 150 kids each time we go to Skate City, and we try to do it about 3 or 4 times a school year. And then we just hosted Cops versus Kids last Friday night, and again, that was very successful as well, and that's a partnership with the Commerce City Police Department. And that's basketball and just different types of activities with our students. So, Mr. Thomas, Dr. Abrego, you may have remember this night when we did our Hispanic Heritage Night during the first semester, and it was a well-attended event. It was a fundraiser for our Washington, D.C. trip. A couple of photos from that one. We had face painting. We had a lot of families in the cafeteria eating and listening to the mariachi band from Adams City High School. And here you'll see the night that we were lucky enough to all get to sing together. So that was a good night as well. And the pictures you can't see as well, but that was Dr. Abrego, Mr. Thomas, and myself getting down. Then, of course, we ran that night a football game as well. And the ironic thing was we lost that football game to Mapleton. And we ended up meeting Mapleton again in the championship, and we won the championship against Mapleton, so that was a really good night for us. And then we also do a lot of work with National Junior Honor Society. We try really hard to help our community as much as we possibly can. This year we served about 15 families Thanksgiving baskets. So that was, once again, very successful for us. We also do a law night, and we're actually about to run another one here in the next couple of weeks. And the whole premise behind the law night is our families are able to come into the building and get free legal advice. We have a law firm that we work directly with that comes in and donates their services. Last year we served about 30 families. This year we're hoping to serve more. But they come in for a couple of hours, they get all the support that they possibly can, and it's all free for them. So they begin to establish a relationship with those different attorneys, and like I said, they donate their time, so it's a very big deal for us, and it's something that's organized by one of our teachers here whose husband actually works at that law firm. And then here we did our Christmas tree decorations and also our gingerbread houses. We won first place for our tree and third place for our gingerbread house, but the most important piece is that we were able to not only donate those items to families, but in addition to that, because of all of the donations that came into the school from different sources, we were able to give 75 of our families Christmas gifts this year. And then finally, our art show, which is very successful. And again, that's used as a fundraiser for our building. Miss April Stevens, our art teacher, she has kids enter their work into our art show. And we generally will have about 100 different families come through the library because we run it on the same nights that we have our concerts during the holiday season. And all the proceeds go towards our art program here at Adams City Middle School. And so that was also very successful this year. And that is it. Do you guys have any questions for me? None?
No questions.
Awesome.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
And thank you. And now we are going to turn to the audience comments. And we will be calling up Dr. Mary Helen Lechuga. You have 3 minutes. Don't give your address, just your name.
I believe they have the paperwork. Okay. I would like to speak to that. Okay. Good evening. Do you hear me? All right. Good evening, President Quintana, distinguished board members.
Little bit, maybe they can help bring it in.
Right here, Dr. Abrego. Oh, thank you. How are your cameras? Thank you. Yes, I can. Oh, yes, I can. My name is Mary Helen Lechuga. I am here because I was not aware or informed that I needed to come and be present to the January 8th board meeting to speak on my behalf, my position. I did send emails to board members, to you, and calls and left messages. I received no answer. I have been a principal for many, many years, and I have experience and knowledge as to how to move schools forward and meet state standards. As a principal, I have the responsibility to oversee everything that happens, everything that goes on at my school, everything, and I do my best, and everything I do is in the best interest of the students, the teachers, and the parents, and the community. Last year, we went above and beyond. I moved the district forward. This year, I set a goal of 60% passing rate for all students. I took into consideration our special needs students, behavior students, below reading grade level students, and it never really should be more than 40%. We all have to have high expectations and for Monaco and our district. My expectations are high, as they should be. Our children, our Adams 14 and Monaco children, and their brains is as good as any. We should not underestimate what our children can do at Monaco or at Adams 14. As the principal of Monaco, I would relate to students. I knew the students, they were doing well. They are doing well. I care for each and every one of them. How can I go from accomplished, as you can see on my evaluation, accomplished to a zero? Zero on my evaluation, very little sporadic things, and things that are on the red in my second evaluation are things that were cut and paste by Mr. Matt Schwartz. He was the one that also taught me last year how to do the evaluations and said you could cut and paste this in the teacher's evaluation so you will have no problem and it'll be okay and there will be no trouble. So when I saw that on mine, I thought, oh, this is what it is and this is what he means. I honestly don't understand why I was like, as my evaluation went on, Dr. Moore stopped me, interrupted me, and I thought I was going to be in my mid-year evaluation. She said, today is your last year. I hope I don't break down. In that letter that she gave me, it states right there on the letter that you have that making change, that this was because the district is making changes to support the turnaround efforts, use resources as efficiently as possible, and to do things differently to get more immediate results. Dear board members, how much more immediate results did I have to do? Did I have to meet? In 1 year, I moved Monaco one band and out of turnaround. Why is someone like me who knows how to turn schools around and educate students and move Monaco forward be removed now or any time without an explanation? Adam 14 members, I'm asking you to give me an opportunity to continue the work I started and was doing for Monaco students, teachers, parents, and community, as well as our district. Thank you, and I hope to hear from you soon.
Thank you. Next, I have Nate Braden. Just no address.
Good evening. Thank you very much. All right. I'll look at I think we're good. I'll look at my 3 minutes. Okay, if I start doing some jumping jacks, keep warm, don't be offended. Hi, my name is Nate Braden. I'm the Executive Director of Mile High Education Services. We're a local nonprofit that specializes in small group direct instruction and critical thinking field exercises for at-risk students here in Colorado and around the country. And I just wanted to bring your attention to something we would like to offer, one of our services this summer, as you transition to a new manager. And what we'd like to do is to have your kids be able to hit the ground running this summer by offering our classes that are 1-to-6 teacher-to-student ratio. We specialize in bridging that gap as quickly as possible in literacy, in reading scores. So traditionally, we've gotten 20% increase in reading scores in 30 hours, and we would like to offer those classes to your students starting on June 3rd, all 9th, 10th, and 11th graders in this district, and running through August 16th. We would do a pre-test on Monday and a post-test on Friday, so you would get instant results, and so parents would as well. And then we can adjust our curriculum and staffing and lesson plans as we see fit based on that. The cost we have for two options. It's $260 per student, and one option we have is fixed number of students, comprehensive. The other option is a fixed amount. So if you just wanted to take us out for a test spin, as it were, fixed amount, divide that by 260, and that would be the number of students. We also make an effort to match whatever district commits with funds that we raise privately in the business community around Colorado and also nationally. And we also have references available in past districts that that have used our services before, so parents, teachers, and school principals, in case you'd like to refer to those, then we'd be happy to provide them. So my contact information is on that information sheet you have, and we would love the opportunity to come into your district this summer. We'd really look forward to it, so we throw that out there to you, and thank you very much for your time.
Thank you. Does anybody have any questions for him? No? Oh, go ahead, Dr. Hyde.
Yes, sir.
Mr. Braden, the 20% plus increase in scores resulting from the 30 hours of instruction and so forth, over how many classes or schools or years is that reflective?
That is a great question. I'm glad you asked that, because it did. We've done this traditionally over a couple of months. When we started in Denver Public Schools, this would be the first time we would have 30 hours in 1 week. So what we anticipate is to run a different group of students through every week and have 6 or 7 hours a day for 5 days. So we've been doing this since 2011, and that has been in Sterling and Denver Public Schools and Aurora Public Schools. So we actually would send teams up to Sterling, because a lot of those rural districts, as you may be aware, have gone to 4-day weeks. So we went up and every Monday last spring up to Sterling, the Valley RE1 school district, and we were up there 12 weeks, or 12 actual days. Yeah. So it varied from. They have 2 high schools up there, so they would send students every 2 or 3 weeks. So.
Do you need a decision prior to the time that Adams 14 will be selecting an external manager?
No, sir, we don't. We would need about a month. So I would get my staff selected and prepared, and then train them probably the last 2 weeks of May, and then get them ready to go here June 3rd. I'm also an instructor. I'm the chief instructor, so I'm kind of like a player coach. So I'll be on the sidelines.
Thank you.
You bet. My pleasure.
Moving on to routine items. I'd like to have a motion for personnel 1.0.
Madam Chair, I move for the approval of item 1.0, personnel.
May I have a second?
Madam Chair, I second that 1 point.
Any discussion? Seeing none. Monica, roll call, please.
Dr. Hyde,
Aye.
Mr. Moreno,
Aye.
Mrs. Quintana,
Aye.
Mr. Rolla,
Aye.
Mr. Thomas.
Aye.
Moving on to 1.1, superintendent's recommendation, personnel actions. And that is on personnel. So 1.1. May I have a motion? Yeah, it's one. Yeah.
Madam Chair, I approve 1.1 recommendation.
May I have
Second.
discussion? Seeing none, roll call. 1.1. Go ahead. Roll call.
Dr. Hyde,
Aye.
Mr. Moreno,
Aye.
Mrs. Quintana,
Aye.
Mr. Rolla,
Aye.
Mr. Thomas.
Aye.
Moving on to resolutions, business. 1.1, Superintendent's recommendation, resolution number 19-001, authorizing the use of a portion of the beginning fund balance and appropriation resolution. May I have a motion?
Madam Chair, I move for the approval of resolution number 19-001.
1. Okay. May I have a second?
Madam Chair, second resolution number 19-001.
Any discussion? Seeing none, roll call.
Dr. Hyde,
Aye.
Mr. Moreno,
Aye.
Mrs. Quintana,
Aye.
Mr. Rolla,
Aye.
Mr. Thomas.
Aye.
Moving on to 2.0, it's policy. 2.1, Superintendent's recommendation, policy IKF-revised, second reading / adoption, graduation requirements. May I have a motion?
Madam Chair, I move for the approval of item 2.1, policy IKF revised, second reading.
May I have a second?
Madam Chair, second policy IKF.
Discussion. Dr.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Mr. Swartz, I just wanted to see if we could get an update. I know we had some conversation last time on first reading about the differences between the policy and practice at Adams City High School. And I was wondering if you could just kind of give us an update on that.
Yes, it was specific to math is where the discussion took place. Went through some research and spoke to both principals. They're in agreement with the 3 credits that's under that policy that you're looking at right now. Additionally, I just wanted to add other information. Cherry Creek, St. Vrain, Westminster, 27J, Adams 12, Jeffco, and Sheridan. Those are other districts that all have 3. Boulder Valley, they have 2. Mapleton, Aurora Public Schools, and Denver each have 4 as their math requirement. As I spoke, some additional information that I was able to gather from a former math teacher, Mr. Tom DeGuero, who taught 20-plus years at Adams City High School. He shared something that was really interesting. He said in over his 20 years of teaching, he always had a full-time or long-term sub alongside him in all of his years. So to go along with those credits, some of the national shortage that we face for finding math teachers is certainly evident, and Tom has experienced that his entire career. Mr. Sandos brought something to my attention as well. He said at Lester Arnold, he oftentimes is charged with trying to help students recover some of these credits that they missed along the way. So his comment to me was, I'll have 3 years to get a kid 4 years of math, ultimately, because oftentimes Algebra 1 is one of those math subjects that students struggle with and will fail the first time around. So most of the school districts around us have the 3. That's what I found.
Mr. Schwartz, I appreciate that that explanation, and Mr. DeGuero was my Algebra 1 and 2 teacher, so very familiar with Mr. DeGuero. I'm wondering, the recommendations from the Colorado Commission on Higher Education, is that more guidance then, or I'm just concerned that we're setting up a graduation requirement that only requires technically 3 years of math. If our students want to go and pursue higher education, are we setting them up for failure if, at the end of the day, universities actually require 4 years of math?
And great question. I noticed, at the beginning of the graduation requirements, it lists the different things that the board strongly suggests: the 4 in English, the 4 in math, the 4 in science. I pull these recommendations straight from the Colorado Commission of Higher Standards, higher education requirements. So it's what they currently list. I too was a little surprised. I thought some of these might be higher, but it is where they currently stand. You're welcome.
I have one other question.
Yes.
And I'm just reflecting on what you just said and the gentleman before you in terms of if a student typically takes 3 years of math, how does that correlate to his expected SAT score, and is it going to be sufficient for college entrance?
I don't have a clear answer for you. What I do hear frequently is that Algebra 2 in particular is sort of that gatekeeper for success. So my guess would be that someone that is pretty successful in Algebra 2, I would mean an A or a B type of grade that they can earn, would probably fare well in college, but I don't have any type of true correlation to give you a good answer. Is that all? Thank you.
Okay. Moving on to grants. Oh,
We have to vote.
sorry, roll call.
Dr. Hyde,
Aye.
Mr. Moreno,
Aye.
Mrs. Quintana,
Aye.
Mr. Rolla,
Aye.
Mr. Thomas.
Aye.
Moving on to grants 3.0. 3.1, superintendent's recommendation, approval to apply for the Early Literacy Assessment Tool Project Grant from Colorado Department of Education. May I have a motion?
Madam Chair, I move for the approval of item 3.1.
May I have a second?
Madam Chair, approval. 3.1.
Any discussion? Seeing none, Monica, roll call, please.
Dr. Hyde,
Aye.
Mr. Moreno,
Aye.
Mrs. Quintana,
Aye.
Mr. Rolla,
Aye.
Mr. Thomas.
Aye.
Moving on to 3.2, superintendent's recommendation, approval to apply for the School Counselor Corps Grant Program from the Colorado Department of Education. May I have a roll call?
Madam Chair, I move for the approval of item 3.2.
May I have a second?
So moved.
Discussion. Seeing none, roll call, Monica.
Dr. Hyde,
Aye.
Mr. Moreno,
Aye.
Mrs. Quintana,
Aye.
Mr. Rolla,
Aye.
Mr. Thomas.
Aye.
Moving on to 3.2, superintendent's recommendation, approval to apply for the school grant program from Colorado Department of Education.
Madam Chair, I move for the approval of item 3.3.
May I have a second?
Madam Chair, second 3.3.
Discussion?
Madam Chair, is this regarding the migrant education program?
Yes.
Thank you.
Roll call?
Dr. Hyde,
Aye.
Mr. Moreno,
Aye.
Mrs. Quintana,
Aye.
Mr. Rolla,
Aye.
Mr. Thomas.
Aye.
Moving on to 3.3, superintendent's recommendation, approval to accept grant funds from the U.S. Department of Education for the Migrant Education Program. May I have a motion? Did we? Oh my God, where am I going? Different environment. 4.1, Superintendent's recommendation, approval of the 2019-2020 student calendar. May I have a motion?
Madam Chair, I move for the approval of item 4.1.
May I have a second?
Madam Chair, second 4.1 calendar.
Any discussion? Okay. Dr. Abrego?
Madam Chair, I'm going to ask the board if they would please delay taking action on this item. I just have a concern that was brought to my attention. I just want to make sure that I have all the correct information before we move forward with the calendar.
Madam Chair, I withdraw my motion.
Okay. So we have a motion. We have a motion to amend the agenda to look into it and put it back later on.
Madam Chair, so to clarify, it's hard for me to hear over here. I apologize. So was there a motion by Board Member Moreno to approve the calendar? And then there was there a second by Mr. Thomas? Okay, and did Dr. Abrego say that he wanted to withdraw the recommendation tonight? Okay.
Mr. Farrow, that's correct, and I withdrew my motion.
Okay, it had been seconded. I mean, is there any objection to having this taken off the floor tonight at tonight's meeting by any of the board members?
The only other piece of discussion, Madam Chair, on this, and I certainly want, this calendar to be figured out and Dr. Abrego to feel comfortable recommending a calendar for school year 1920 to the board. I'm just wondering if we're under any time constraint on approving the new calendar, and that perhaps there may be a role for the external manager in this. They may want to change our calendar, and so I'm wondering how that interplays with this.
But Senator Moreno, board policy states that it's supposed to be done and voted by January 31st. So they gonna have to have us vote on it by Monday, so they're gonna have to add it to our agenda when we come in Monday.
Yeah, Madam Chair.
Go ahead, Mr.
So
Farrow.
If, for example, if Superintendent Abrego were to propose the calendar again at your next meeting, you could go ahead and take action on that. And if the management partner that's selected and under contract for the district believes that the calendar should be changed for the next school year, it could certainly propose that. The superintendent's under board policy has to make that, he has to propose the calendar by a certain date. I think it's the end of the school year. Or has to be by the end of January. Well, so I would suggest that you take action on it. Have another board meeting in January. So
can we approve it and then revisit it if we need to look at it again for more accurate dates?
I believe you can. What I would suggest is move on to your next item and 2 items here, and I'm going to look at the policy real quick. Make sure you handle it properly tonight.
The only other thing I would mention is we do have a board meeting scheduled on January 29th. I don't know if it's just a study session or if we can take official action, but there is a board meeting scheduled on the 29th.
Right now, it's a study session. I mean, you could notice it as a special meeting.
Yeah.
With proper notice, you can take action on it.
Special
Just put it
meeting.
on the agenda.
Well, can we do it via email after we already approved it tonight? And then if we need to,
I believe you can.
we could do emails to each board with the updated version?
Sure.
We could do that.
I don't see a problem with that.
So we could do it via email through,
Are you saying if there's changes
Right.
required? It would just come to the board again for approval of those changes.
Oh,
And it
okay.
would keep coming forward until it was final.
okay? Okay, so then, since we'll just go ahead and vote on it.
So
Since we went through all the motions.
since I withdrew my motion, Madam Chair, I will move again to approve item 4.1, approval of the 2019-2020 student calendar.
May I have a second?
I second 4.1 calendar.
And we already had discussion. Monica, roll call.
Dr. Hyde,
Aye.
Mr. Moreno,
Aye.
Mrs. Quintana,
Aye.
Mr. Rolla,
Aye.
Mr. Thomas.
Aye.
Moving on to 4.2, Superintendent's recommendation, approval of calendar changes for Monaco Elementary early dismissal on Thursday, January 10th, 2019, due to a water main break. May I have a motion?
Madam Chair, I move for the approval of item 4.2.
May I have a second?
Madam Chair, I second item 4.2.
Discussion? Roll call.
Dr. Hyde,
Aye.
Mr. Moreno,
Aye.
Mrs. Quintana,
Aye.
Mr. Rolla,
Aye.
Mr. Thomas.
Aye.
Moving on to 4.3, Superintendent's recommendation, approval to increase funds from Team Tipton to facilitate a retreat for the Department of Student Services. May I have a motion?
Madam Chair, I move for the approval of item 4.3.
May I have a second?
Madam Chair, I second item 4.3.
Any discussion? Seeing none, roll call. Monica?
Dr. Hyde,
Aye.
Mr. Moreno,
Aye.
Mrs. Quintana,
Aye.
Mr. Rolla,
Aye.
Mr. Thomas.
Aye.
Moving on to 4.4, Superintendent's recommendation, approval to contract with Franzen Pittman General Contractors as the district's construction manager / general contractor for Alsop Elementary and the BEST grant. May I have a motion?
Madam Chair, I move for the approval of item 4.4.
May I have a second?
Madam Chair, I second item 4.4.
Any discussion? No? Monica, roll call.
Dr. Hyde,
Aye.
Mr. Moreno,
Aye.
Mrs. Quintana,
Aye.
Mr. Rolla,
Aye.
Mr. Thomas.
Aye.
And now we are at communications at the end of our board meeting. Any communications? Senator Marna?
Madam Chair, I just want to take this opportunity to thank the community for the hard work they're putting in reviewing the applicants for the external manager position. Most of us were there Wednesday night, had the opportunity to observe the process, and people are working really hard, and I just want to say I really appreciate it.
I'd just like to thank Mr. Pearson for setting up the Adams City Middle to let us have a meeting here. And our goal is to set up meetings throughout the community. Hopefully we get more community members to come out and let us know what their thoughts are. Secondly, I'd just like to congratulate the girls basketball team for their winning ways.
Yes.
So far. I got to watch them play against Northglenn. They were down like 12 points, and they came back and they won the ball game by 10. So our girls are really doing well. Our boys are fighting hard, but they're still struggling a little bit on the winning side, but the girls are really doing good.
Do you have anything, Dr. Hyde?
I would simply want to second what Senator Moreno said and what Mr. Rolla said regarding both the process we're going through for the selection of an EMO. I think it's been very rigorous and a very valuable process for the community and for all of us. And I hope we also continue to, from time to time, rotate our meetings through the schools. It's a little awkward for us, but we can adapt. And most of the faces here I probably would have seen at the ESS building. But with time and word, perhaps we can change that. Thank you.
Mr. Thomas?
Yes. I'd like to thank Adams City Middle School staff for giving us this opportunity to come here. It's very nice, and I thank you both, principal and assistant principal, for both having us here. The EMO is very time-consuming. I want to thank staff for those days from going. It is a lot of work, and DAC members for being there too. I like to thank them for their hard work for being there with the EMO. So I just want to thank everybody for this process of Commerce City and the staff, the community. It is a lot of hard work for all of us, so we don't take it for granted, so thank you.
And I want to just ditto what everybody said, and thank you, Mr. Pearson. I loved hearing the band. I just think that's wonderful. Anytime a young person picks up an instrument and can play it and read those notes, I know God is with him, because I've tried it and I can't do it. But it's very difficult, and they sounded really great. And please forgive me, but the acoustics, I was hearing myself, and it was like bouncing back at me. That's why I was getting a bit confused. It was like, didn't I just do that? But I want to thank everyone for coming out and, in the elements. It's tough. It's cold out there tonight. Be careful when you go home, and just thank you. And Dr. Abrego has some words to say.
Yes, I just have one last one. I want to invite everyone tomorrow at the Adams City High School. Mr. Tom Guerrero's family is going to be recognized into the Wrestling Hall of Fame, so that they're going to have a wrestling match. In between that match and the second one, he's going to be inducted. So everyone is welcome at the high school tomorrow.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you, everyone, for coming out. Good night. Safe drive home.
Madam Chair, I have an update for you on the calendar issue.
Pardon?
The calendar issue?
Okay.
Yeah. So your board policy, for anyone who's interested, is IC/ICA, and the statute is 2232-109. The board, you've complied with your policy by adopting the calendar tonight. If you want to change it district-wide, I recommend that you do so prior to the end of the school year to be in compliance with state law. If you need to make specific school changes tonight, you can do that during the school year, but district-wide, you need to set it before the end of the school year. So you still have several months if changes need to be made.
Thank you. Okay. Bye.